Welcome to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. And now your host, Tim Johnson.
Small business is the driver of both the U.S. and Louisiana economies. Dawn Starns, State Director of the National Federation of Independent Business, the state's small business lobby, joins us when we return on this edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Consumers and property owners with construction projects can have a successful result or regretful experiences that could have been avoided. Before any construction project, verify licensure of the contractor and check references. Scammers will claim to be insured or bonded, so always check first. Download our app, LA Contractor, from the Android or Apple Store. Visit our website, lacontractor.org, or contact the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors. We're here to help before things go wrong. Hire a licensed contractor. It's the law.
Spidell's Florist was founded over 30 years ago. From my mom's kitchen, we have grown into one of the largest florists in this area. There's a sense in our community that you stick together. Good times or bad. And oil and gas is part of that family. They're my neighbors. They're my customers. They're the person I'm sitting next to at church. If oil and gas is doing well, all of our businesses are doing well. We are Louisiana Oil and Gas.
The Work Ready You program changed my life. There's opportunities for everything. You could be a welder, you could be a nurse. You can take any trade you want, and it's free. I dreamed of it as a kid, be successful, making a life for myself and making me a family. I always dreamed of it, but I never thought that I would be here and dreams come true.
For your free high school equivalency training, text diploma to 55,000 or give us a call.
Passion, experience, safety. These are what set Arkell Constructors apart as a premier general contractor. At Arkell Constructors, our goal is to exceed our clients' expectations, whether it's commercial, industrial, or facility maintenance. We have the team and processes in place to provide a solution for you. To us, every project is a resume for our future. Arkell Constructors, the solution for your next building project.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Very pleased to be joined by Dawn Starns. She is the State Director of the NFIB, that's the National Federation of Independent Business, the small business group representing in Louisiana. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Always start with a little personal interest. Tell us about your background and the path that has led you to be the State Director of NFIB.
My goodness. You wonder how you get places sometimes, but no, it's been a great path. 21 years working with the legislature. Started as an intern at the Capitol for Jefferson Parish, so learned the local ins and outs of local government, and probably the most powerful delegation at the Capitol, and then went on to be appointed by the governor and run the Capital Region delegation and started it, and one thing led to another, and this opportunity arose, and who doesn't love small business? You can't say no to small business.
I mentioned in the open that small business is the background, the economic driver for both the state's economy and the U.S. economy. So give us an overview of the NFIB, your membership, your mission, what do you do?
Yeah, so we have, here in Louisiana, we have 4,000 small business owners who are members of ours. Across the nation, we have over 300,000. There's one of me in all 50 states, and we have an operation in D.C. at the Capitol, and we lobby both federal and state level issues. Our big focus is always on tax reform, regulatory reform, tort reform, all those big things that really affect a small business owner's ability to own and operate their company. And that's truly our mission. We want folks to be able to do what their dream is.
And we're going to talk about each of those as we go along.
Yep.
I will tell you that my consulting business, the TJC Group, is a proud member of NFIB in Louisiana. And the information that your organization provides, both on a state and federal level, an email just about every day with valuable tools, valuable information, things that all small business owners ought to pay attention to, and you're part of an organization that helps provide that. That information service is a huge part of what you guys do.
Yeah, I mean, small business owners are trailblazers. They're out there doing what they do, following their passion. they don't have time to constantly be worried about what the government is doing that could affect them. And oftentimes what the government is doing does affect them. So we are there to kind of inform them about those things and try to keep them abreast of it before they get sideways.
You are the watchdog both on the federal and state levels.
That's right.
So let's talk about the impact of small business, because we mentioned that it really is the driver of the economy on both the state and the federal level. Hundreds and hundreds of small businesses, as you mentioned, in Louisiana. The statistics in terms of employment and
Yes.
economic input are substantial. What do they look like?
99% of businesses in Louisiana are privately owned businesses. Business owners here in Louisiana, under the small category, they employ 50% of the workforce. So we are very much engaged. We pay 50% of the taxes, both at the personal and business level. So we are very engaged in the economy. You have small business owners who employ everybody from one person themselves to up to about 500 people. You know, everything in that range, and it's a beautiful thing, because if you didn't have a small business owner in your area doing what you do, and all the little things you take for granted sometimes, your dry cleaner, your auto mechanic, your plumber, your AC repairman, but also those manufacturers. You know, you hear so much talk about the big manufacturers, but you know, there's a lot of small manufacturers in Louisiana who don't fit all the big guys' definition, and they do a lot of great work. And then the oil and gas. The oil and gas piece is huge for Louisiana.
You think about those small businesses. You take a firm like mine that's a 6, 7, 8 person shop, right? We don't have time to have a dedicated person looking out for governmental relations for our business. We don't have necessarily a person that can be dedicated to researching the issues that are critically important to us and how we deal with them. And that's really what the NFIB does. You're the watchdog out there. You're the assistant. You're like an extension of small business staff, both in Washington and here. Talk about the organization on the federal level and the work that they do there.
Yeah, you know, we were instrumental in passing the tax reform. It didn't get where it was going until we got behind it, and we're very proud of that. It was a big deal to get those pass-through deductions, and there's some big key things in that tax reform that were really part of our lobby. And the congressional staff, the President spoke at our 75th anniversary last summer. We had our fly-in. We were ranked the best fly-in of lobby groups. And I mean, we engage our members. We have everybody from our board in DC, who is all made up of our members. And no member has more than one vote, no matter how much they donate or contribute. And then, you know, across the country. So it's constantly engaging with the congressional delegation. Our Louisiana congressional delegation is wonderful. We're very lucky to have a very pro-business legislature and folks who get it and understand it. And they want to hear about our issues. We have all of our members, with the exception of one member of Congress, our Guardian Award winners. And that's our big award we give out to folks to say thank you for being a guardian for small business at the Capitol. And they listen to us on the tax reform. Healthcare reform was a big issue for us, still is, and we'll continue to fight it. You know, not fight healthcare reform, but fight the ACA, which has cost a lot of small business owners
Tons of money.
money.
I am a personal example in my small business of how the
Greatest
Affordable
example.
Health Care Act was anything but affordable for me and the employees that work in my company.
Everyone,
but
yep.
You mentioned that. You talk about the relationship with that Louisiana congressional delegation. Individually, these small businesses might not have the access that the NFIB
Right.
brings, but because of the work that you do and because of the significant number of individuals that you represent and the strength of the small business community, you have the access to that congressional delegation and helps to get things done.
Yeah, we're the voice. We are the voice of small business, both at the federal level and here at the state level. So we're proud of that. We'll continue to carry that flag for them because we believe in it so much. It's easy.
I want to take a break. When we come back, I want to focus on a couple of things. Number one, I want you to address the question, how business friendly, how small business friendly is Louisiana? Mm-hmm. And then I want to get into some of the specific issues that you guys will be tracking, watching, and lobbying in the 2019 Louisiana legislative session. We're visiting with Dawn Starns. She's the state director of the NFIB, that's the National Federation of Independent Business. And you're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Promoting workplace safety and family wellness. That's our motto at Gulf Coast Occupational Medicine. The Gulf Coast staff is made up of some of the most knowledgeable and hardest working medical professionals in Louisiana. We care about your safety and your bottom line. With 8 convenient locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, our services include injury management, physical exams, medical surveillance, and substance abuse testing. For more information, visit us on the web at gcombr.info and ride the wave to safety.
Since 1919, we've designed and constructed hundreds of industrial plants, roads, ships, dams, and executed some of the most complex jobs in the world. In fact, our quality and dependability are legendary. Today, the legend continues as Brown & Root delivers engineering, construction, maintenance, and industrial specialty services throughout the U.S. and the world from our headquarters here in Louisiana. We are Brown & Root.
The 1012 Industry Report is excited to announce the 1012 Industry Weekly. This e-newsletter is free and comes to your inbox every Tuesday. All you have to do is sign up at 1012industryreport.com. 1012 Industry Report is an award-winning magazine serving South Louisiana's petrochemical and oil and gas industries. From Lake Charles to Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we cover the news, people, projects, and issues that matter to industry. The 1012 Industry Report magazine and weekly email. Sign up today.
I just see the positive things on the horizon, and BRAC is a real integral part of that.
BRAC's taken a very forward role in trying to help align people and align strategies and align solutions.
You'll find that you'll have an opportunity at BRAC to make a difference.
It's about being a part of conversations and really having a voice in terms of how we move the city forward.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Dawn Starns of the NFIB is our guest. We set up the NFIB, the National Federation for Independent Business, in the first segment. We talked about your mission, what you do, how you represent small business in our state, and how critically important small business is to the economy, both on the federal and state level. So I ask you this question: how small business friendly is Louisiana?
Well, you know, we probably need to do a little work. And there's a lot of key areas. And I never hate to give a bad grade, but you know, and talking about it on another program the other day about minimum wage and issues, and I said, you know, I would give it a grade of incomplete, because I hate to give us a grade, but there's a lot of people out there that give us bad grades. We're ranked F on a lot of report cards when it comes to our tax structure specifically. And tax issues are one of the small business owners' biggest concerns. You know, we've addressed a lot of their concerns at the federal level with tax reform, but they still have it at the state level.
One of the things you guys, I know, because you and I discussed it in preparation for the show, that you will be focused on in a big way, arguably your number one priority in the 2019 legislative session, will be promoting a centralized sales tax collection system in Louisiana. Louisiana is one of only 2 states that does not have a centralized sales tax collection system. So explain for our viewers, first of all, how it's done now, what you want it to be, and why it's important that we move to that system.
Yeah, you know, right now, a small business owner has to, if they are doing business in multiple locations in the state, they have to file multiple returns on a monthly basis. Sales tax
multiple
has to be,
sales tax returns, right.
Sales tax is done on a monthly basis, and so you have to. They are sitting at a computer. Look, we are living a modern age of technology, so we know that the technology is way ahead of how we're doing things here in Louisiana, which is one of the frustrating parts. But currently, they do. They file online. They do it. They send their money up to their local government. It gets done and it gets distributed. The challenge is, and the thing that has moved us to this point in wanting to push this, is that Louisiana has 2 parts of their sales tax that we don't like. One is all the exemptions that exist within it that make it very convoluted and very difficult.
Do I pay on this? Do I not pay on this? So there's obviously some work to do.
No sales tax on Mardi Gras beads, but sales tax on, you know, prosthetics, but there's not. But, you know, it's those kind of things. It's a little bit of here and there, everything, hundreds of them. And then the other part is the fact that now with the Wayfair decision at the federal level, at the Supreme Court, a sales tax online can be collected, and now it's due. And so the issue here for us, and you'll never hear, and we've talked about this before, you'll never hear me lobby for a higher sales tax, or higher tax, or any kind of new taxes. But our members want to be in compliance. Our members want to be competitive with online retailers and brick and mortar shops. So that was one of the things that small business owners had to do. They had to start selling online because they had to compete. Sure. Because the small business owner who's in a retail situation, they're going to always adapt to keep their doors open. So whenever the big boxes started selling online and everybody was buying online so they didn't have to pay sales tax, retailers became showrooms basically. And you had people going in, shopping for what they like, and then go buy it online. Well, that people, naturally are going to want to do that if they can save a few bucks. But the bottom line is that hurts your local retailer. And so local retailers have started to use their Instagram, their websites, all of their means to sell online so they can still compete. And so that's all great and good. But at the end of the day, we have no way as a structure, a centralized structure for the state and local governments to collect those sales taxes and for them to be remitted. Right now, it's all voluntary. There's no set compliance. It's a mess, like a lot of things in this state. So we believe that there's a small step that can be taken to help remedy that. And it's a very controversial step. A lot of people always say, longer bill, devil's in the details and all those things. So I've been telling everybody it's just a little 2-page piece of legislation. It's a little constitutional amendment, and we believe it's the right thing to do. And basically, it removes one section of the Constitution that says local governments have the authority to collect sales tax. And that might seem simple, but at the end of the day, it has created a structure where you have 58 collectors. You used to have 300. There's all sorts of people collecting taxes across the state, and it just makes it very convoluted for a small business.
Well, and a small business, quite frankly, could be audited on their sales tax compliance by multiple different parishes because of the way the system exists today. So it makes it more difficult. And I mentioned at the beginning of the segment that we're one of only 2 states that keeps this kinds of system. That ought to, as an outlier, that ought to tell you something right there.
Exactly.
Local government is adamantly, or has been very opposed to this legislation. They want to keep that collection for themselves. Talk about their opposition and what you're doing to try to overcome it.
Listen, and this has been an interesting conversation this morning. I visited with some folks that represent a local government, and their frustration is the same as ours. The state can't always be trusted to do the right thing or in a timely fashion or create more bureaucracy or all these things, and they're frustrated too. But small business owners need local government. They need the services, the roads, the public safety, all the things, education, all of the things. So we should never feel like we're pitted against each other, but that has been the case lately a lot of times because they're lobbying for higher taxes and we're lobbying for lower taxes, and somehow we've begun to butt heads. But at the end of the day, their concerns are relevant in the sense that they're afraid of moving to a new system. That's fearful for everybody. The state screws a lot of stuff up, so they're afraid they'll screw this up. And they like to have control. They like to feel like they're going to get their money. They're concerned they won't get their money. But the bottom line is they're leaving money on the table today. And their holdup and their opposition to moving to this is leaving money on for the state as well. And we know we have a budget situation. Again, we're not lobbying for higher taxes, we're lobbying against higher taxes. Because guess what? You're not doing what you should be doing over here to collect what's due.
It's an interesting scenario, an interesting piece of legislation. We've seen it before. We'll watch it again in 2019. We'll be pulling for you. Let's take a break. We come back, I want to focus on some of the other issues that are critically important to small business in Louisiana. We're visiting with Dawn Starns. She's the State Director of NFIB, and you're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
A lot of my friends were in college and stuff, which is great. It wasn't the route for me, and financially, I know it's tough on a lot of people, so I saw welding. At first, my instinct was like, what pays the most money? So I was like, welding, that's the way to go. It made a great living for me and my family. You can always work your way up. There's multiple ladders, and really the sky's the limit. I thought I got to the max with as high as I can go with welding. As high as you want to grow, you can absolutely achieve it.
ExxonMobil Baton Rouge keeps the local economy rolling. Our new aviation project created hundreds of jobs, drove millions of dollars to local businesses, and poured thousands more into our community to improve schools. 1 in 8 jobs in our parish can be traced back to ExxonMobil. Tomorrow's Baton Rouge is built by what we do today. A little energy goes a long way. ExxonMobil Baton Rouge. Energy lives here.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Dawn Starns, the National Federation of Independent Business, the state director, is our guest. Wrapping up the conversation we had about centralized sales tax collection in the last segment, you guys are obviously going to push for in this legislative session that centralized system. What are you telling legislators and what are they telling you?
Well, I had to tell legislators about 6 months ago to take a little step back because, they wanted to go home in the middle of that last special session when the Wayfair decision came down. They said, oh, we just solved all our budget problems. Let's go home. I said, no, guys, girls, we don't have a system to do this. So they see it. It's there. The need is there. They see that it's not, we can do it without hurting anybody. Nobody wants to put a hole in local government's budget. Nobody wants to put a hole in anybody's budget or take anything away. We just want to get there in a productive way. And so they believe this is the right way to go, although, it'll come down to how much pressure they get from their sheriffs and their school boards and their local government folks over the course of the session. But right now I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. It's it's a small step, and the legislation will be proposing as a delayed implementation. So it's not doing anything right away, not overnight, like a lot of things do happen, and so people feel better about that.
Well, it's something that we should be watching, and I guess all small business folks who might be watching this show, is it important for them to contact their legislator and tell them that this centralized sales tax collection is a big deal for small business?
Absolutely. Every one of them we want, whether you're a member of NFIB or not, we want you definitely reaching out to your legislator and explaining to them how it affects you.
You talked about this being a small but constitutional step in that local sales tax collection is actually written into our Constitution. We've seen a big push over the last 2 years, given the budget situation that the state has found itself in and the impact that has on businesses of all sizes in our state, a real push for a constitutional convention to rewrite our entire tax code, or at least focus on some really specific pieces of it that are archaic and need to be changed, need to be brought into more modern times. I know that NFIB supports that constitutional convention to really focus on Article 7, which is the tax code, right? Talk about your support. Talk about what you would hope to see should a constitutional convention actually come to be.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to fix the way our personal income tax is structured. 67% of small business owners file as individuals, through their personal income tax. That's a big piece for us. Of course, we care about the corporate, obviously, as well, but that personal piece is one that can't be forgotten for a small business owner. Things like the inventory tax, again, something we've fought over for the past several years, but the inventory tax is a very broken way of collecting tax. Other states don't do it. It makes us less competitive, and we need to fix that. So those are the inventory tax, the personal income tax, how it's structured, the way it's tied to the federal income tax. Small business owners in Louisiana didn't see the benefit that they should have from the tax reform at the federal level because of our broken system. So when the rates go down at the federal level, they go up here. So that's unfortunate, and so we need to figure out how to make that work in a better way.
Dawn, I want to make a statement that I make on this show and on the radio show almost every time we tape, and that is this. Given all that occurs naturally in Louisiana, the fact that we sit on the mouth of the greatest economic transportation artery in the world, the Mississippi River, that we sit on the Gulf of Mexico with access to all of the oil and gas and to emerging economies all over the world, the fact that we've got the culture and the work ethic and the people and the joy of life, the food, the music, all of the things that are here. If we could get these things right, there's likely no state in America that could compete with us. Yet we've let politics bog us down for 100 years. NFIB and the things that you're fighting for, like this constitutional convention on this tax code, are the kinds of things that can move Louisiana forward so our expectation can be top 5 in America, not bottom 5 in the South. That's what you promote.
100, you said it. I couldn't say it better. I mean, and you're a small business owner, you get it, you understand it. Everybody understands it. If you're a small business owner, you feel it every day. You get the frustration. And, you know, it's important to be engaged. It's important for business owners to be engaged, understand what's going on. You know, a lot of people feel uncomfortable about a constitutional convention because of all the different devil in the detail things. So do we, but we have to figure out a way to fix the things in the tax code that need to be fixed.
Look, we have to be responsible as businesses. We have to do the right thing. We have to care about our state. We have to want to invest in the priorities of government that are important, education and infrastructure.
Definitely.
But if we could ever unleash the power of the job creators in this state and let us realize our full potential.
Right.
Texas can't compete with us. Alabama can't compete with us. Georgia can't compete with us. We're the place that it can happen. We've got about 2 minutes left, so I want to hit on another subject that's critically important.
Yep.
The governor has stated clearly that a minimum wage increase is on his agenda, and he wants to get it done. Now, it's difficult for any of us on the business side to say we don't want folks at the lower end of the economic spectrum to make more money. We all do. So it puts you in a difficult position to have to come out and lobby against things like minimum wage increases.
Right.
But it's important to small business. Talk about why it is.
Because it affects how a business owner does business. To arbitrarily create an increase in labor cost just because government decided it wanted to do it one day is not how business can run. We are agile and can adjust to certain things, but at the end of the day, if your bottom line doesn't bear the weight of new labor costs, you have to make very tough decisions. And those include cutting workers completely or cutting hours for all workers, which hurt the very people you say you're trying to help. Or you have to decide to not grow your business, or it just affects your bottom line. And we hate for business owners to be put in an arbitrary situation to make tough decisions when it's totally unnecessary.
Well, it's something that we'll watch closely. And again, it's one of those issues that is so nuanced and subtle that it's just not, well, it's the right thing to do. There are implications in the economy to doing it that are critical, and you guys will be watching for it. We got about 15 seconds left. Your message to Louisiana's business community.
Stay engaged, stay active, let legislators know this is an important election cycle. We get out of this session on June 4th or 6th, I believe, and it's a short one and a quick one, and they probably won't do too much damage while they're there because it's election year. But this fall is a very, very important election cycle. You'll have nearly 50 new legislators up for re-election, up for open seats.
Dawn Starns, State Director, National Federation of Independent Business, thanks for the work that you do.
Thank you.
That's a wrap, guys. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next week at this very same time for another edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.